Hey folks, welcome back to the DroneOn Show. It's Mike. Today we have another episode where I was on the road at the drone convention and I sat down with lots of different applicators at that show, just having casual conversations with them on how they got started and where they're at now. And so today is another one of those episodes where I'm on the road and having a conversation with another spray drone business. Let's get into it. Alrighty, welcome back to the podcast. Today we have James Harris. Would you tell us a little bit, where are you from? What do you do?
From Heflin, Alabama. Co-owner of Southern Crop Services and Yellowhammer Drones. Okay. So we have a custom application business based out of Hartford, Alabama. My co-owner, Tyler McClaney, down there, been running that for going on 3 years now on the drone side, but it's been a custom application business since 2016.
Okay, so not necessarily just drones.
Not just drones, but it was already set up as a custom application business.
How old a fella are you?
I am 35.
Okay, so about my age. Pretty young. It seems like this industry, a lot of young folks, there's some older folks adopting the technology.
Right.
I've spoke to guys on the podcast that have sold drones to guys that are 70 years old that are still adopting the technology.
Yep.
That's cool. I was told that you sprayed last year 80,000 acres.
Yeah.
With drones?
Yeah, well, last year was with drones and with one ground rig and a side-by-side. And I say ground rig, we actually outfitted a you ever heard of a Sherpa? You know, like the amphibious trucks with the big tires on it?
No, never heard of it, but
okay.
I can imagine what that looks like. It's kind of like a swamp bucky that you go shoot hogs off of it.
Right, but we did it with, it's called a fat truck.
Okay.
Is the name of it. But a lot of people, referred to as Sherpa or whatnot.
Sherpa.
But we actually outfitted that with Trimble GPS and a spray system on the back to do right-of-way work with.
Oh,
so, yeah, that
nice.
it was pretty cool.
So right-of-way work, power lines?
Yep.
And gas
power
lines?
lines and gas lines.
Gas lines.
Yeah.
Could that work not have been done by drones?
If you're not finding the beyond visual line of sight problem.
Okay.
Right. And just that thing's kind of unstoppable, man.
Okay.
Carried it through anything. And it will actually float with the weight in the back. So it's impressive, man.
How does it float? Like, is it like a boat or what?
No, it's the tires are like, I don't want to get it wrong, but I think they're like 60 inches tall, and they only carry like 5 PSI in them.
Oh, my
So, and they're just big paddle tires.
That is cool.
So, yeah, it has its own custom trailer where it has to, like, sit on blocks underneath it because you can't strap it down because you couldn't ever get the straps tight.
It's just like a big old balloon.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
dude,
so,
that's cool. So how many those 80,000 acres would have that part of it done?
Oh, man. No, probably well over 70 of that.
70% of those acres?
No, like 70,000 of that acres.
70,000 of those acres were done with that buggy?
With a drone.
Oh, with drone.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. 70,000 acres with drones. How many drones?
Up to 7 or 8 at a time.
That's efficient.
So back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I said that, this company had already been established before we got into it with drones.
Okay.
So we work on some really big contracts in Central Florida.
Okay.
And our guys are actually there now. Tyler and the rest of the guys are actually on that contract now. And I think you talked with Ryan earlier. He's actually helped us out a little bit on this contract. But essentially, we got 34,000 acres that we got to do over the next month.
Oh,
and that's all pasture broadleaf control with drones.
You go.
Yeah.
Dude, could it be done with anything else other than drones or not really?
So we started, how the drone thing come about was my buddy Tyler, my business partner now, had that contract and was spraying it with ground rigs.
Okay.
So have you ever heard of a Terrigator?
No.
So it's a big 3-wheeled like boom sprayer.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
huge tires on the front of it, right?
Yep.
So started out with that, realized that the terrain was just too rugged to do it. Yeah, it's just native land, right? So just beating the hell out of equipment. And then it ended up getting a couple of John Deere sprayers, 120-foot boom sprayers. And Tyler got in touch with me a few years ago and was like, hey, man, let's look at drones. Me and him go back. We were college buddies. Went to flight school together.
I was about to ask you that.
So we were buddies back in Auburn. We went to flight school together.
Okay.
So that's what my background is.
So let's pick that up. Since we're in there, flight school together.
Yeah.
You're not just a drone pilot. You're a lot more than that.
No, I come from an aviation background.
Okay.
So I was a corporate pilot out of college. I'm a CFI.
How long did you do the corporate thing?
I did it for about 3 years.
Okay. Did you like that?
I loved it. That was actually, I got my dream job right out of college.
Okay.
So I was flying an Aerostar out of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Just it's
multi-engine,
just
it's
piston.
pretty fast.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the fastest pistons made. Like, it was a bullet, man.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of time in a Pilatus PC-12.
Oh, dude, that's my dream plane.
Yeah, so they're awesome.
So
that or a Kodiak.
Can we? Yeah. Yep. Can we just slide a T-50 in the back and take the whole crew, and here we go.
Exactly. Did that. A lot of flight instructing. So I lost.
You look pretty young to have done all this.
Man, I was really, really blessed with some opportunities.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Oh, so you're my age?
Yeah. So I was really blessed. I actually started.
Did I ask you that question already?
You did.
I've been talking to so many
it's
people.
All good, man. But
you're like, this dude can't remember.
No, I actually started flying when I was 13 years old.
Dude.
Yeah. So I soloed on my 16th birthday.
Come on.
Yeah. So aviation.
What did you fly?
It was a 172.
Yeah. But that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people can say that they were flying it?
Yeah, I think I cherish it a little bit more now than I did then. It's just something I really like doing.
You bring that up, and this podcast doesn't just have to be about drones. It's about how who we are and how we got started. Because you bring that up, like you didn't maybe did you appreciate it? Like, say if you grew up, because I'm a pilot as well, and I have my daughter next to me, and we're flying, right? We're just ripping through the air. She's sleeping, and it's like she doesn't even know that this isn't common. Like, this isn't. It's normal to her, but not to most people.
No, it's not. And here's the thing too: is no one in my family has an aviation background. Don't ask me where I got the bug from. I have no idea.
Wow.
Yeah, no idea where I got the bug from.
How'd you start flying then if your family wasn't flying?
Again, it's just something I've always had a passion for. Like, I've always liked airplanes.
So did you just go to the airport and find
so I got it for my birthday present. On my 13th birthday, my parents got me like one of those, Discover flights or whatever.
Dude.
And I just wouldn't let it go.
That is cool.
And so they were like, okay, we'll just, start lessons. So I actually did my private spread out over like 3 years to get it done. But yeah, aviation's just always kind of been my thing.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been in aviation. You were a corporate pilot.
Yeah.
You met your business partner. In college.
In college, that's right. Yep. And then he just kind of gave me the opportunity, honestly, because he has the agriculture background. Okay. He was a row crop farmer before he went to school at Auburn, and he was actually going to be a pilot to pay for his farming. Because he loved farming so much. That was kind of his deal. And I was lucky enough that he wanted me to come along this ride with him, right? So he called me one day and said, hey, man, have you looked into ag drones? And I'm like, not really, I said, what do you got? And we were actually on a fishing trip in Louisiana when he brought this up to me. And he said, let's go to Auburn and look at it. There's a demo going on up there. I said, okay, let's go check it out. And went and looked at it. And a month later, we ordered our first 2 T-40s.
Wow.
And then a month after that, we bought 2 T-30s.
Come on.
And we haven't looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just getting into doing drone spraying.
Yep.
Don't know much about it.
Right.
Learning yourself, teaching yourself.
Well, there was no one to learn from.
Correct.
Then.
Yeah.
It was completely new. Yeah.
New.
Yeah.
How do you even know how to get started? Like trailer setup, truck setup, what?
So this is where, again, I didn't have an agriculture background, so I leaned on Tyler a lot for it. Now, I did have the aviation background, so I was in charge of, the licensing and trying to get that stuff rolling and figuring out what we needed for our 137. And this is still when, to get our 137, we had check rides. So, the FSDO was showing up and doing this stuff instead of just giving it to you, right?
Yeah.
But so we kind of divided and conquered on that. And we went through and just built our first rig. We actually went a little bit viral on internet with the first rig that we built.
Nice.
It's that big black Unimog that's got 4 drones sitting on top of it with the
I gotta see this thing.
Yeah, it's pretty. I'll show you a picture on our Facebook. But we built that and built it off of a spray tank off the back of a John Deere sprayer and put that in the center of the trailer, and then we put this big 60 kilowatt generator on the back. And
so you're getting into drones, but you had the contracts already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Had that
you were
contract
just trying
already.
out how to do it better or more efficiently?
Well, I went back to how that land was so native and everything, and it just beat the equipment to crap. So Tyler, in his mind, was going, I got to find something to cover this that maybe will work. Well, what better than to fly it, right?
Yeah.
So that's when the drone idea come about. It's like, let's go figure this out.
Yeah.
So that next year, this would have been in 2022, I think, is when we first tried it, right? So we go down there with 2 ground rigs, and then I go down with our big black Unimog built with 4 drones and tackle it. And that was our first trick to try to figure the drone thing out.
And how did it go? Did things go good or south or not the grid crashes?
A lot of lessons, right?
Yeah.
It went really good. Like, I had some really good days doing it. It was figuring out, can we fly to, can we not fly to? You know, you're still in that gray area. We don't even know what swarming is at this time. Trying to stay legal, doing all that.
Legal is hard. Yep.
But it went really well. We figured out how to get really efficient flying those drones, and figuring out their nuances and all that kind of stuff. And it was
Did any
just
drones go down?
School of hard. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
we have wrecked them every which way you think you can, man.
But every time that happens, you learn something why you got in that position. Just like when we go through flight school.
Yeah.
Like, they put us in an awkward position in the airplane.
Yep.
And it's like, figure it out.
Yep.
If you don't do that, how are you ever going to know?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
So, but everything was a hard lesson, right? And we just picked ourselves up and went in again. And when we got out of that, we finally got out of that contract, right? Because it just kind of took forever to get it done, because we did want to do some stuff with drones, and it brought more opportunity on that contract to do different things. They reached out to us and said, hey, can you help with aquatics? Hey, can you help do some of this wildlife rehabilitation and stuff like that?
Would this be a state contract?
No, this was
a private.
Yeah, it's private.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so this ranch has 500,000 acres.
Nice.
500,000 acres.
And that was because your business partner just knew the right people?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Just had it, locked that contract up, had some really good relationships, and it's still going. We're actually spraying on that contract right now.
Right now, as we're talking at Alabama.
Yep.
Wow, that's impressive.
We're working on it right now.
Doggone.
Yeah.
And how many drones are there right now?
There's 6 in the air right now. Yeah.
What are your guys' average days, acres covered?
Oh man,
I know some is high,
sure.
Some are low. Let's just say that things are going good.
So they've sprayed the last 4 days, and we've ranged from 400 to like 780 acres.
Okay.
In a day.
So are you guys flying that slower than what a row crop would be flown at, like 32 feet per second?
No, we're wide open, letting it roll. So we're doing.
For me, like, I'm thinking of that amount of acres with 6 drones in the air. To me, I would think we should be a little higher on the acres.
You would think so, but here's the logistics is the problem, and getting around on that ranch is the problem.
Okay.
Again, going back to the real native thing, right? This ranch is 60 miles north to south as a bird flies.
Jeez.
So I've literally
not access roads to everything.
No. So you're driving through these pastures that may be a 400 acre pasture. It'll take you an hour to drive across it.
Wow.
So it's not. It's a logistical problem, and that's why we tore up all the tractors and the spray booms and all that kind of stuff. All that weight out there just getting thrown around. Even this is a cattle ranch, so no tractors work on it. Some of them do, but all the work's done still on horseback.
What?
Yeah.
This is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the largest cattle herd in the United States is in Central Florida, and a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, that's valuable information. Thanks for sharing that. That is
there's
cool.
30-something thousand head of cattle on this one ranch.
No way. Okay, so that's your biggest challenge is navigating the ranch and getting into good locations to set up properly.
Yeah, and see, the ranch is broken up into, units, and then there's pastures inside those units, right? Well, we're not just spraying everything as we're going along. They're picking and choosing which ones to spray. So you may spray a field, over here in this corner, and then it may you get done here. Well, it may take you an hour and a half to drive to the next field over here to spray.
Okay, makes
sense.
So
your efficiency is just all over the place. Now, sometimes
that has to be hard to quote. I mean, can you even quote that? Or
man, honestly, we do it per acre.
Yeah,
but it's just you make it work because you got to get it done in such a small amount of time, and the money's worth it because they throw so many acres at you.
Yeah.
But you got to do a good job too. You can't just can't
Dude.
just let it go.
Doggone.
So,
dude, I didn't even know that there's somebody that has 500,000 acres and is still running cattle on it, and you need to be a cowboy to navigate it.
Yeah. It's nuts, man. It's nuts.
Now, how crazy is this? You got to be a cowboy to navigate it, but there's drones spraying it, so it's pretty high tech.
You have the most primitive and you have the most advanced technology in agriculture going on at the same time. And look, when they're pushing these cattle and stuff, we have to shut down. So you'll see them pushing cattle or whatnot, and then we'll just have to land the drone and everything. So they just may be pushing these cattle right past our drone and everything.
That's cool.
Past.
But
it's really
think
cool.
about if a helicopter or airplane is spraying that, it has to spook the cattle, right?
Yeah, well, even the drones do.
Okay, the drones do spook
Well,
them.
some of them, sit up and kind of just look at you like, whatever. But, they'll
But just from a noise standpoint, I was thinking that an airplane or helicopter would scare them more than a drone would. But
yeah,
I guess
it's probably, well, you got to think that drone's only, 10, 15 foot above their head.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
But, yeah, man, it's pretty wild. You'll sit out there for days and not see a single human.
Do they camp out there or no? Like the guys that are working?
No, they'll go back. They live on ranch. Most of them, they have their own housing and everything out there. So last year, I actually pulled a camper and parked out in the middle of one of the pastures and found there was an old campsite that actually had power still run to it.
What?
So we went and wired up a 50-amp plug and went out there and put a plug in it. And I pulled a fifth wheel out in the middle of this pasture and just stayed in the middle of a pasture last year.
That is cool.
And stayed there for like a month and a half.
That's cool. So oftentimes on these podcasts, I talk about it's a grind. Like if somebody thinks that they're going to be a drone spray pilot and it's just going to be blue skies and roses, don't be fooled.
No.
It's hard work. It can be rewarding. Yep. It can be fun, but it's also hard.
Yeah, it was hard. So the first year when we first did that, so it was kind of me and Tyler were trying to figure it out, right? And you burn through some guys, traveling and doing all that. I ended up staying gone away from the house like 7 months that first year, 7-8 months the first year.
That's putting it in.
And it was tough. And I've got 2 small kids at home too, so that was a different learning experience for me. But it's a grind, man. Waking up every day, spraying 7 days a week. You're not saying no to anybody. You're trying to get a new business going. You're trying to learn these drones. Like you just got to wake up and do it.
So your guys' drone company or drone application spread fast because contracts were already in place and you were willing to travel.
Well, that was the one contract that we knew we had. So we had a base.
Yeah.
So let's go get this done, make sure it works. But then it never stopped.
Yeah.
The phone never stopped ringing when we got up, and I'm not complaining. Right?
Yeah.
We just kind of hit it right. And that first year, we actually sprayed more than we did last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How much?
We broke 100,000 that year.
Dude, you go.
It was nuts.
Wow.
But it was wild. It was wild, and we sprayed from Central Florida all the way up to Tennessee.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool. Doggone. Good for you guys. So you went to school to fly jets, probably. That's what you wanted to do.
Right.
What do you regret not being able to fly jets or?
No, I'm not going to say that's not where my passion still is, but I was able to feed that a little bit through this.
Yeah.
I still get to stay, in the aviation game and learn this, and I've really grown to enjoy this part of it. I really have.
That's cool.
I really have. So,
do you see your guys' drone company? Would you ever acquire a airplane to help with the acres?
Oh, well, we've actually talked about that. We actually looked at that, and I say looked at. We briefly talked about adding a helicopter to it at some point. We actually had a local crop dusting outfit come to us and ask if we wanted to buy it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
But then you did the numbers. You were like, I'll just add drones to it.
Yeah, no, you can't make the numbers make sense.
Yeah.
Isn't it $1 million air tractor? No, man. You know how many drones I can buy with that? I'm good.
And now they just dropped the price.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm the only one that can fly it, so I'm not going to do that. So, but
it is crazy when you do the numbers. It's like the guys want to compare one drone, one airplane. No, that's not how it works. But let's take the dollars.
Yep.
Whatever dollars it takes you to buy a $2 million airplane. Now, how many drones can you buy? I know it's going to take more personnel, right, to fly those drones. But still, overall cost of operating, you start doing the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
You can the numbers get crazy really fast when you start adding aviation in it.
Yes.
It's pretty wild, man.
Yeah. Do you think that airplanes and helicopters will be obsolete
No.
at some point? No?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't. I honestly think the drones are getting to a size now where they're not going to get much bigger. I agree with that. We might see a 100-liter, which I think is going to happen. But if they keep getting bigger, we're getting away from why they were made.
I could not agree more.
And yeah, I think what's going to happen is you're going to get, hybrid stuff start showing up.
Yep.
Which I've looked into that. That kind of blew my mind to how that really works, right?
Yeah.
How hybrid motors work with drones.
Yep.
Batteries are obviously going to get better.
Yep.
But if you get away from the size like the Pica, I cannot wrap my head around the Pica and why that is justifiable, right?
Yeah.
That's still $1 million that you got to go spend to do this.
Yep.
And when I went and saw it, you still had to follow it around in a van for a visual observer. So I'm going to follow my Cessna 150 around in a car. No, I can't make that make sense. But yeah, I don't see them getting much bigger. I see the capabilities getting better, but the size and being able to put it in the back of a truck or on a trailer.
It feels like we're really close to being at max because now you can't even really pick them up with one dude. Like you have to have multiple guys.
So I'll throw out my tinfoil hat. Like this is what I think it's going to turn into, right?
Yeah.
I think they're going to turn into kind of like irrigation systems. So what it's going to be is you're going to have this dock station on your farm at the end of a pivot with a tank, and this drone's going to come back, and you're going to program it to whatever you want to fly on your farm, and it's just going to pick itself up, go into that, fly to that field, apply in that field, come back and land on that dock station.
Okay.
So you're going to have like a half-mile area that this drone's going to cover. And
it just kind of stays there.
And it just stays there and does
it. It's its house.
Yep.
So you're thinking that all farmers will own their own equipment, you think? You think so?
I do.
Okay. I slightly think it'll be different than that just because farmers are too busy already to deal with it. What if equipment fails or this or that? And
that's true. There's always going to be redundancies in that things. But in large row crop operations, I think autonomy, when the autonomy really hits, you're going to see the size of equipment shrink.
Dude, now that you bring that up, then maybe that's why DJI is doing so much research on like the dock system. Have you seen that? The Dock 3, where like an enterprise drone sits.
It actually will land at speed. Like
I've seen that too now.
Yeah.
Like that, you might be onto something.
And that's just me, what I think is going to happen.
Well,
right?
We're recording this now in 2025, and 10 years from now, we might be listening to this and be like, I did say that.
But I even see just farming in general, like the size of tractors are going to shrink, and you're going to have you spend $800,000 to $1 million on a big tractor right now with some implements, right?
Yep.
Well, what if everybody just goes and puts a 60, 80 horsepower tractor on a piece of ground with all the implements, and you put auto steer on it, and you just have tractors running in every field?
Yeah. Huh.
You replace that $1 million with one tractor with 8 tractors. And now you just got a guy running around with diesel and hydraulic fuel or hydraulic oil and just making sure everything's running and everything's getting planted and taken care of at the same time.
Dude, I think you're onto something.
That's just where I see it going.
Yeah. Huh. That's crazy.
And I think some of the other guys see it too. You see everybody selling these auto steers and everything coming around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Do you think that it's too late to get into this custom drone app business?
I think it's shrinking.
Okay.
And I think you're going to have contracts to survive.
Okay.
It's they're going to turn into lawnmowers.
Okay. Tell me more.
So landscaping, right?
Yep.
I've got a little bit of landscaping background with my family.
Yep.
Everybody can go out and buy a lawnmower and cut somebody's grass.
Yep.
Well, there's so much stuff that you can spray with a drone that's going to turn into that. Like, and everybody's going to start slashing prices. They're going to beat each other's throats.
Yeah.
Your fly-by-night guys are going to come in and just wreck the market on price. Not saying they're doing a bad job or anything like that, but just the price is going to get driven down to a certain extent where I'm not going to get into it.
How long do you think it'll be till that gets here?
5 years.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I agree with that. If we can keep up with, if supply can keep up with the demand. Because right now, it feels like it doesn't matter how many drones you import right now. Yeah. There's not enough of them.
No, that's right.
It's always like you need more and more and more.
Yeah, and then you get that announcement that DJI made today and just throw a wrench into everything. Like
So what drones do you guys run?
So we DJI right now, but we're adding some XAG P150s in this year. So anxious to put those out there and see how they run.
So how many drones do you see having in your fleet?
Well, if you add the ones that are coming now, this is not going to be flying at one time, but we're going to have right at 12 agriculture drones that we're going to have access to.
Nice.
And then, of course, we got the Mavics and stuff like that that we do mapping with.
So when you go out and you do these pasture ground acres, are those already mapped with like a Mavic 3E where they're also mosaic, stitched together?
So last year, when we first started, we didn't map anything. And we learned quickly that we got to figure out something, right? Going off those old maps that come on your remote already. Last year, we started mapping some. And towards the end of the year, everything was getting mapped before we went and sprayed.
Okay.
This year, to start this contract, we went down there for 2 weeks and mapped everything on that big contract.
So do you think you guys could save yourselves time by just flying the drone around the boundary of whatever you're about to spray and just seeing the obstacles? Like, so the way we do it is we'll fly around the edge, create the boundary, so now we see what's in there. And if there's a tree over here, we go fly around it, and then we create that as an obstacle rather than actually going to take photos, stitch them together, and then building it. Have you guys tried that?
So, yes, but we find it's more efficient just to have updated imagery. We go in there and we'll build the boundary, actually, and not put the obstacles in it. We'll just build the boundary and updated imagery and upload that, and then our pilots, when they get on scene, if they need to add in obstacles, they will. Because we've also figured out too that sometimes it's more efficient to fly the field and not mark the boundaries and just fly your breakpoints.
Explain.
So, on a DJI system, you come up to something and it'll see an obstacle, and then you have different start points, your breakpoint 1, your breakpoint 2, or whatever. Well, it is quicker to actually just take over that drone, fly it around that obstacle, and then continue on its way. So we're getting a lot more efficient just doing it that way than actually marking that obstacle out and flying. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah. So it puts more stress on the pilot, I will say, because you do got to pay attention. You're supposed to be paying attention anyway, right?
Yep.
But it is more efficient to just fly that and fly that, manually fly that around that obstacle and then continue on its path.
Dude, that's cool.
Yeah. Now, when you get in there and you see a tree head or something that you don't want to fly around, build an obstacle on that.
Yeah.
But when it's just, I call them toothpicks. When you just got toothpicks to trees scattered around, just fly it.
Yeah. So you're in flat land, so the drone's not necessarily trying to avoid.
That's right.
It's break pointing.
Yep.
And then pilot grabs it, slides it around.
Yep.
Have you tried doing auto obstacle avoidance where it just goes around it?
Yeah, it just slows it down too much because it slows it down to like 23 foot a second. It won't fly at 32.8.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What if you put it in mountain mode? Would it just go up over it or hill mode?
Not in that, because we don't want to spray the trees there. So they try to keep all the shade they can on those farms for the cattle, just because it gets so hot everything. So
that's good.
Yeah.
What else did you learn through this? That would be some gold nuggets for guys that are maybe doing something similar, where they're doing a lot of pasture work and they're like, how can I get more efficient?
Oh, God.
Because you just telling me, like, creating that breakpoint, I get that now.
Yeah.
Because say you have to build, or you don't even see it, right, and you forget it, rather than like spending the time and trying to do it on your controller, just sending it out there, breakpoint, okay, grab it, boom, boom, slide around, continue on.
Yeah.
Never even thought about it because I don't do much of that work.
Sure.
I'd like to.
And actually, you get more coverage. And what I say about that is because you don't know how big you made that bound or that obstacle when you made that map.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So you actually get closer to the tree, and you actually get better. More coverage.
Good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's not going to work for everybody, right? That just works for what we got going on down there.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, flying like that will definitely make you a better drone pilot and make your it gets your
situational awareness
up, but it gets your what am I trying to say? Like confidence level way up for you to try different jobs.
Yeah.
Aquatics was something that we felt comfortable getting into after we figured out how to really fly these drones.
Tell me about Aquatics. I've never sprayed Aquatics. I know that the drones are capable of spraying stuff over water, but how's it different than, say, row crop?
So the chemical side is wild.
Okay.
And I'm not going to sit on here and talk like I'm a master in chemical. Tyler is a freaking chemist
Yeah,
when it comes
cool.
to this. But when we started getting to aquatics, he was like, what he thought would work wouldn't work. So it was a completely different learning deal. And you can't go into a pond that's just covered up with lily pads and spray everything. You deoxygenize the water and you kill all the fish in it. So an aquatic job may be like a 3, 4, 5 time application a year.
Yeah.
Just depending on the size of it. But we did stuff in Florida too where we had to we went and bought just kind of like a platform boat and stripped everything off and put a mixing station with some IBC totes on it and pulled it out into the reservoir with some with our other boats. Threw out some plywood and flew cypress heads, flew lily pads. We did everything out there from off of a platform boat.
That's crazy. So what made you want to go out in the water rather than doing it from mainland?
You couldn't get it to it from the land.
It was too far.
It was too far. Yeah, so we had to do it from water.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Why would somebody care that there's something growing that far away from mainland? Like, what are you controlling that?
They were just controlling vegetation in this lake that was a prime place they leased out. Lake? That's right.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like a 300-acre, 400-acre reservoir. It's huge.
It's crazy. Never even thought about that. Yeah. Like if you have a prime fishing lake.
And that's the stuff that come out that we weren't looking for either.
Yeah.
It was just phone calls.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, can you do this? And we said sure.
I'd be really curious why, like, how that guy find out that you guys do drone applications. It's just a friend talking to a friend.
Yeah, everything was word of mouth with us. We had a little bit on social media, but everything else was just word of mouth.
That is cool.
It was wild, man. It still is wild. It's crazy. Yeah, and then you get into the whole, hey, where can I buy one of these drones? Yeah. Hey, well, then we started capitalizing on what we learned and selling, and that's where Yellowhammer come from.
Okay.
That's why we created Yellowhammer drones for sales. It seems
like because we're so early in this, like, same thing with me, right?
Yeah.
I was just flying it as an applicator.
Yep.
Gained the experience, and people want drones. And it's like, well, I've gained the experience. I can probably sell you a drone.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
At some point, it's probably not going to be like that because everybody's going to be or have a drone, and not everybody can sell them. But it is pretty interesting that a lot of guys that you would talk to here that have been applying now for a few years have also started selling them.
Yeah. Margins are pretty good when you sell one.
Yeah.
So that was a big draw.
They're still decent, but can you imagine what they were when they first
started out? Oh man, I know how much I spent. Right. But props to AgriSpray on that model.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's why not?
Yeah.
Why not put it out there and sell it? And make a hit.
Totally. I've talked to Taylor on the podcast before, and it's like,
yeah.
Capitalize.
That's it. Welcome to America. Capitalism. But yeah, and I'll tell you another thing that's been interesting navigating is the training part of it.
Yeah, let's get into that. So you're a CFI, so certified flight instructor.
That's right. We talked a little bit about this over there. Like I've had talks with the FSDO.
Yeah, so let the listener know. They might not know anything about how this process works. So I want to fly a drone that's over 55 pounds.
Sure.
How do I do it?
So, right now, there's not really a test that you take with that other than your Part 107 to get your commercial license, right? Yeah. Your drone license. But everything else is under exemptions. So your exemption.
And that means you have to petition the FAA.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to basically say.
Fill out all this paperwork.
You get on your knees and then you go, FAA, please allow me to fly a drone.
Yeah, and wait on them to give them their blessing for you to go fly your drone that you've already had to buy.
Yep. Because you have to get the N number for it then apply for it.
That's right.
Because the new process now, I don't know when you guys did it, you need a drone that's registered and you need your chief operating before they'll ever do the 44807.
That's right.
You used to be able to get the 44807 prior to all that stuff.
Yeah, now they make you spend the money up front and then wait.
And they don't tell you how long.
Love government bureaucracy for that, right?
They won't tell you how long you have to wait.
That's right.
Yep. Okay, so in the exemption that you receive from the FAA, they say you can only provide training to
your people,
to
your pilots. Like me as the CSO of the company, I can train my guys. I can give sign-offs for
that are
visual observers or pilots or nighttime or now single drone operation or swarming and no VO flights. So I can train all my guys legally and sign them off. But anybody outside of your realm, you can't touch that. But how do you get experience doing that?
Yeah.
So my argument to the FAA, well, let me back up. I actually got to help teach a class at Auburn with agriculture drones. And before I did this, we were going to fly drones. I was going to show everybody, a demo and do all this. Well, I called the FSDO and was like, all right, look, here's what's going on. So I'm going to have 25 people that are not covered under my paperwork flying in this class. I just want to make sure that we're on the up and up.
Yeah.
Right? And he said, well, first, do you have your 137? Do you have your 44807? All this. I said, yeah, I've got all that.
All of it.
And I'm a CFI. And he was like, oh, okay.
CFI for drones?
No. So flight instructor on the fixed wing side, right? And I was like, can I teach this class? And he said, well, if you have all that license, you'd have to sign everybody off. I said, well, I'm not going to sign everybody off to be a pilot, right? I'm just teaching them. And
just showing them how it works.
Exactly. And my example was, I said, look, I'm a CFI. I went to Alaska and flew, and I got my seaplane rating.
That had to be fun up
there.
That
was cool.
Oh,
I went up there with another friend, and we stayed up there for a little bit and got it. It was
cool.
I
want to go fly up there.
It was awesome.
But I feel like, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm east, up in high. I've never flown around mountains. I should probably get training when I get up there.
Yeah, do that. Yeah, don't go up there and just say it's going to be fun and go off. Don't do that. But anyway, going back to the example is, I've got, 5, 6, 7 hours in a seaplane now, and I'm a rated seaplane pilot.
Okay.
But as soon as I got my flight instructor certificate, technically I can teach that.
With 5 hours.
Right. And I'm like, so I took that same logic and I started talking to the physio. I said, look, since I'm a flight instructor and this license or this certificate is under me and it says that I can teach all these things under me, well, why can't I teach this class? And he was like, oh, you're okay. You have your license. You got everything. I said, can I get that in writing? He said, no, man, you're good. He said, just if anybody calls, I'll make sure that you're covered. What? I was like, so I was looking for a golden ticket. And they never sent it.
Oh, no.
But they at least are aware of that class.
Yeah. That's a problem in the industry right now. I've had this conversation with the FAA because they call me on it when they've seen training on our website. They're like, you can't provide training. I was like, guys, you're the FAA, right? What's your goal? Safety, right? That's what you are claiming that you're about.
That's right.
Safety. What is safer? Me giving John that has never flown this 55-pound heavier drone and say, John, good luck. I hope you don't hit anybody. Or me standing next to him, or me on the controller showing him all the things, and I hand him if he gets in a situation.
Well, here's how backwards it is. The CSO, like me under my company, probably you under yours, is we have to train ourselves.
How? What?
You sign off yourself under your company. How backwards is that?
Yeah. It's because
there's not another rating in aviation that's like that. You self-certify everything? No.
Jeez.
But you self-certify yourself in this world.
It's like they have to feel a little – I don't want to call them dumb, but like you –
No, but why not leverage the guys that have experience?
Yeah.
Why not leverage that?
Yeah, and if it's even that, that's what I was saying. Like, if you have to hold a CFI fixed wing rating to be an instructor then for a drone, then those people would go get it, and we can then train under the book. But they don't even tell you if you can do. They say it doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do.
And they also don't even tell us if they are trying to make it work or working on something. Right? They talk about Part 108, but they've been talking about Part 108 for how many years?
Exactly.
Like it could literally be 10 years till it ever gets here.
Yeah, the speed of government is slower than a snail. So, like, it's going to be interesting, man. We forget how new we still are to this.
Yeah.
Even though we have lived, breathed, and ate this and sweated and everything else for the past 3-4 years doing this, we're still in just the infancy of this.
I couldn't agree more.
I told myself, and I still believe that I travel all over the place, right? And I told myself the first time that I'm driving down the road and I see a drone spraying that is not associated with me, I'm going to stop and talk to him. And in 4 years, that has not happened.
You've not? No way.
No way.
I've had it happen a couple times, but it's we're in a hot area doing corn fungicide, and there's other guys.
I have never seen a drone flying. That was not at a demo or something, but actually working in a field.
Wow.
That I was not associated with.
So see,
and that's still telling me how new that is.
Well, that and how big the industry is.
Yeah.
There's just so much. Yeah. There's so many acres out there.
And people think, well, I'm going to get this and go spray fungicide on corn. Oh, no, there's
so
10 million other doors that you can go down.
Yeah.
95% of our business at Southern Crop is herbicide work.
That's cool. I'm glad you brought that up. It's like that's what I was thinking is just corn, because that's kind of our bigger crop up there. But if a guy is willing to travel, or if you want to do pasture ground work, or you want to do some early spring burn down, it's available.
Absolutely.
You're going to need to learn how to do it.
Yeah. We spray 11 months out of the year.
Down south.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah. 10, 11 months out of the year we're spraying.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Up north, I call it good if we work 60 days.
That's wild.
but we do pretty well.
Sure.
in those.
Yeah.
If a guy invests $130,000 and everything goes good, right? You say contracts, I say acres. Have the acres.
Yeah.
You can get that paid down in probably 45 to 50 days.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah. Me and Tyler talked about this a lot. Like, what if we wouldn't have just grown and just kind of said to ourselves, and like just sat in our hometown and sprayed? It's probably been a lot less headache than what we did, and probably made better. Now it's going really good now, but first starting out, maybe it would have been better just to sit down with the one drone and go out and fly for your neighbors, and it'd been a lot less.
Do you guys do any local work?
Yeah.
And so where would home be?
For the spray businesses, Hartford, Alabama, right by Dothan.
Hartford. So how many of those acres, 90,000, 80,000 that you guys did last year would have been in, kind of around your home area?
Oh, shoot, man. Probably 20,000 of it.
Okay. So you traveled a lot.
Well, yeah, we travel a lot.
Yeah.
And I will say this, the amount of acres, I don't want to just put out there, it's like, we sprayed 100,000 acres. That is shrinking. And it's not shrinking because we're losing business. It's shrinking because we're getting more quality work. Like, what I mean by that is this contract work is a little bit more profitable. We're not having to go out and chase everything. We're kind of sucking that in a little bit. And figuring out different segments to spray in that you're getting a little bit better return on other than just, row crop.
Yeah, so, there's a guy that I talked to here. He'd rather not share on a podcast all the specialty work that he does.
Right.
But holy smokes, he is making bank.
Yeah.
Like
there's plenty of opportunities out there other than
specialty
spraying row crop
work that drones are used for, say for power lines.
Yeah.
Like he showed me some stuff of how he's doing it. I didn't even know that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, so think outside the box. If somebody's thinking about getting a spray drone.
A spray drone is, in my opinion, one of the most versatile piece of farm equipment there is.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. It's not a single-use piece of equipment.
No. You can use it for so many other. Yeah. Do you guys do any like cover crop or seed or
not
fertilizer?
Much at all. The only thing we've ever done, we fertilized some lotus ponds one time, and that was about it. Fed a few doves. With quotes there, but not a lot on the dry side at all.
That's crazy. So before we go here, what would you tell a guy that wants to get into it?
Do it now.
Yeah,
I think it's still right to get into it now, and don't be scared to just pursue everything out there.
Is it easy money?
It's not as easy as people think it is.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah.
You have to wake up. You have to go spray. It is hot. It's windy. It's dirty. You're messing with chemical every day. Like it's not going out there and just flying a drone. Flying the drone is the least part of this business. The least amount of it, right?
I agree.
And here's the thing that I had to learn too, getting into agriculture, because I didn't have agriculture background. Agriculture does not wait on birthdays. It does not wait on weather. It does not wait on things you have going on. When it's time to put something out, it's time to put it out.
Yeah.
So when it's time to go to work, you got to do it. That could be a Sunday. That could be, your kid's birthday. Yeah. That could be a holiday. When crops need something, your custom applicator is one of the few people that farmers let on their property and mess with their way of living.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
very, very few. How many other people do farmers let come on and mess with their stuff?
Good point.
Custom applicator's it.
Yeah.
And we're probably some of the most detrimental to that, because we could kill everything. So they're putting a lot of trust in us, and when they need something, they need it when it's needed.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to go do it. It's go time.
Dude, that's good.
And that was a hard lesson to learn on me. Tyler kind of guided me through that because he grew up he was a row crop and all that. I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And that was an awakening for me to realize how these guys work as a farmer. Like you've got to be out there, and when they need it now.
Yeah.
It's not a hurry. It kind of is a hurry up and wait, but you got to be ready to press the go button when it's ready.
Yeah, when it's ready, it's
So don't look at it like you're just going out and fly a drone. If you're going to get into this, be ready to work because it's not just as easy as going out there and doing it. And spend the time to learn what is efficient.
Yeah.
Don't go anything over, half cocked. Like, make sure you got a good generator. Make sure you have more than you need when it comes to your equipment, stuff like that. Like, don't just go with the bare minimum on things.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like, if you try to cheap out, it will cost you more money.
Absolutely.
In the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If something says, like, generator size, right? If you need a 9,000 watt generator, don't go buy a 9,000 watt generator. Go buy 12. Please.
Would you? Okay. Now that you brought it up, generator. I love the DJI generator because the weight to power ratio that generator produces. Yeah. There's no other generator that has a weight to power ratio as that. What do you guys run?
So we don't run the DJI generators. All of our rigs are built on the back of 1 ton or 3/4 ton trucks, so kind of like truck skid type stuff. Yeah. So we've got a 15 kW diesel that's on one of them.
Oh, nice.
North Star generators are really nice. Okay. And then the good old trusty Harbor Freights that you can go out and you buy the warranty on it and trade them out every year.
Okay. Yeah.
What
have you tried the DJI generator?
We have, but we tried to simplify it where there's only one thing on that truck that's burning fuel.
Okay. So,
like our pumps, everything's electric, everything beyond that.
Oh, yeah, and you couldn't do that with a G.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's
and
good.
Just the space that it takes up. It's a single-use generator.
Yep.
But again, nothing will charge a battery like one either.
Yeah. So you're running all your pumps are electric pumps and stuff.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's cool. Nice.
Yep.
So you have one diesel setup. Mm-hmm. Why not more diesel setups? Too heavy or?
No, it's kind of what we had laying around to finish building out what worked for us. So we took that diesel off of a trailer setup that we had and put it on the back of a truck.
Okay.
So we started out with one big trailer, and then the next year we went to a couple of smaller trailers and a big trailer, and then this year we're running all trucks.
Okay. Yeah, because the type of work you're doing, you're trying to just
we look at it like ants.
Yeah.
So we got a big mixing station, our tender, and then everybody fills up that morning and then just goes.
Yeah.
And it's spread out and goes and tackles everything.
Dude, I'd love to come see your operation sometime.
It's pretty wild, man. It's pretty cool. Dude. We had some apparatuses built when we first started going on. It was pretty wild.
That's cool. Yep. Alrighty, well, I really appreciate your time going on to the podcast and sharing your knowledge. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys, that's all we got for today on this podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Yeah.